easier, and then they can do it. And then let's go live on Facebook. Oh, I was going to put that on there as well. There we go. I'm not sure. There we go. Right, so we're going live, hopefully. You'll probably see it before I do, because some reason it takes a few minutes to come up on Zoom. But
okay.
All right, so I think we're hopefully live. Let's have a little look on Facebook, just to double check.
Yeah, I'm checking as well.
You're checking as well.
But nothing's
both looking. It says it's now live, so hopefully.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I can hear my own voice.
Right.
Okay, so there we go then. All right, so welcome everyone to Stellas Temple, and I'm introducing you to the beautiful goddess Katie Holland, who is the founder of Awakened Bellydance, and we're very blessed to have Katie here this evening. Katie has been really inspired me massively, and I've just put my phone on silent, sorry, and many other women. She's on a mission to share her love and embodiment, especially with everyone. So and it was quite interesting because I actually met Katie when I was writing about embodiment. It was when I found Katie, or Katie found me, who knows, we found each other. So yeah, it's really exciting to have Katie here as my second guest on the 13 questions. So how are you feeling, Katie?
I'm really excited that you asked me about doing this. It turned out to be quite a process for me as well, and yeah, just the last 2 or 3 days I've been looking at the questions and writing about them, so I've been really in this kind of exploring bubble of myself.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was really happy when you asked me if I could be a part of this, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for agreeing as well. And yeah, that's fabulous that it's taken you through your own journey as well, and kind of that's all part of it. And I'm so excited to see where this leads, you know, as well, with asking goddesses and gods from all over the world. So yeah, I'm going to begin if you're happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so let me just make sure that's it. Okay, so these 13 questions, they link in with the book I'm writing and the course that I've created as well, which is the Tao of the Goddess, and each question links into a chapter, or what I call an aspect. So the first question, and I am reading from notes by the way, because my memory is not that fabulous of remembering all of these. So number 1 is, what emotions were you feeling on your 13th birthday? Or if you do not remember your 13th birthday, an emotion from your 13th year. Now this links in with the aspect of emotion, which is aspect number 1. So over to you, Katie.
Okay. I knew this already before seeing the question, but I don't remember my 13th birthday. I don't really remember much about my 13th year either. I remember more about 12, being 12 to 13, but 13 and 14 is quite non-existent in my memory. But I think a big reason for that is because I was being really bullied at school. So it was, I think I just completely blocked everything and anything out. And I up until that point, I'd been, I was swimming competitively, and I was doing dance and gymnastics. So I'd been studying all of those really since I was 3. So I was really, really active, and I got to 12, or that sort of between 12 and a bit. My period started. I literally within a few weeks just told my parents, that's it, I'm not dancing anymore. Well, not doing, it was ballet and tap and modern. I said, it's not my thing. I pulled out of a ballet exam the night before I was supposed to take it. I stopped the swimming competitions, yeah, gymnastics. It was like my, I guess my body confidence just went because of, I was very curvy and getting my period and everything, and then combined with the bullying at school, it was yeah, it was a really difficult time for me. It was really, really difficult.
Bless you. And it's really interesting because all what you've said really resonates with my story as well, because that was the age that I didn't want to go dancing or doing competitions anymore, and I started my period when I was 11, 12.
Yeah.
And I was being bullied, so that's really interesting how we've got that resonates.
Yeah.
It's such a sensitive time of our lives as well, that age, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and on the positive, I really made some quite deep decisions also in that year. I became vegetarian. I decided that I was going to, at the first opportunity, leave England and live near the beach. And I decided that I was going to work for myself. I was going to be self-employed, although, and I had a hope that it was going to be as a dancer, but I had no idea what kind of dance I was going to be doing. So I made these very strong choices at that time that really stuck with me, and then later on I became vegan. So so yeah, I would say 12 was yeah, that's probably the only thing I remember about it, is making those decisions.
Okay.
And otherwise it's a blank.
Okay. Okay. I was 12 when I went vegetarian as well.
Yeah.
And I started a cleaning bit, like my self-employed cleaning business.
Oh wow.
It wasn't quite dancing, but yeah, I was self-employed doing cleaning. I went down to a little place called Just the Job, and she said, "Oh, you're not really supposed to be working yet, but yeah, we'll give you a little job." But like yourself, it's when you've got that in your blood, when you're an entrepreneur, and it's wanting that freedom, isn't it? Even from that age.
Yeah, definitely. And also I think that at that age as well, it was the first Gulf War, and I remember seeing on the news everything that was happening in the world, and just really feeling this is wrong, and I'm feeling really helpless about it. And so I guess it was like that transition of growing up really, and the realizations about money and who was controlling the world and the people being killed and being killed wrongfully, and yeah, all of this stuff. It was like lots of light bulbs were going off. Yeah.
Bless you. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you.
Okay.
So question number 2 links into the aspect of embodiment. And this is where I met your beautiful self on my journey writing this. So what does embodiment mean to you, Katie?
Well, for me, grounding and being grounded is something that I've really had to work every day at, ever since I found out about it when I was 18, 19. It's something that I really had to understand and learn how to be in my body, because again, from some of the things I said from when I was 12, and then from sort of various other things that happened in my life, and also a natural ability that I have to astral travel and go out of my body. It was much easier for me to be out of my body than in my body, and having to deal with the reality that was in front of me. So yeah, so embodiment is something that I feel is at the core of my life and my being really. To me, it's really being present. It's really being aware of what my thoughts are, where my thoughts are coming from, if they're my thoughts, or am I absorbing the thoughts of the collective and being influenced by those. And also about communicating with my body, so that every part of me, every aspect of me is in communication, and that I'm not cutting out any parts of me, and that I just have that awareness all the time, and to really walk my talk as well, that what I'm saying or the thoughts that I'm having, I'm living that in the best way that I can do, and in the highest possible way that I can.
Wow, thank you. I was so excited to like hear what you wanted to share, what you're going to share about that aspect, and that's fabulous. Yeah, I'm sure many people are going to be able to relate to that and also learn as well. And that's what, you know, these sessions are about. It's where we can all learn from each other. And yeah, oh, thank you. What an amazing explanation.
Oh, thanks. and also I think for me, dance and movement is the way that I become more embodied, and that I can access that embodiment. I think everybody has to find their own way. For me, the more movement that I make and the more action, the more embodied I feel. Whereas for somebody else, it might be sitting very still and quietly meditating, and it's not that one's better or more right than the other. It's just what suits our nature and our soul.
Yeah, for sure. Because for some people it could be, I don't know, scuba diving, or you know, for some people it could be accounts and maths, who knows. It could be, it's different for, you know, like you say, it's different for each and every one of us. But I find if I'm shutting down, I don't know if, because for me as well, I need to move to stay in tune with my life, and to stay in tune with myself, I need to move. And I find if I don't move enough, I start to shut down, and I go very much within myself, and I just feel myself shutting down, and I know that I've got to move. I've got to get back into my body. Because I don't know where I'm going, but I'm kind of imploding almost, you know.
Yeah, and also for me, I think because I'm working so much with energy work through dance and movement, sometimes that can also obviously take me into different journeys and things. So it can be something as simple as sweeping the floor. And funny that you're saying about your cleaning business. For me, that kind of really normal thing, doing the washing up or sweeping the floor, they're often the moments that bring me most into my body, and where I'll get really clear insights about, maybe it's something with the choreography that I'm stuck on, or whatever it might be. It's in those really kind of day-to-day things that you don't really think about, but it kind of takes you into your body more, and into a more grounded state.
Yeah, for me it's often in the shower. I'll be in the shower, and then I just have a download, and I'm like, right, okay, we'll go and get all this written down now. And it's just like you say, when you're not really thinking about it, I guess, isn't it? Which is that pure embodiment. You know, you're just there in that moment. So,
I'm brushing my teeth. That's also.
Oh, bless you. Oh, thank you for that. So number 3 links in with the aspect of release. And with this aspect as well, it very much taps into releasing past life stuff, also future life, parallel lives. It's a big release. It's really letting go of a lot of that stuff. So the question I'm going to ask you for this one is, what outdated belief that isn't serving you anymore would you like to release?
Okay, well, again, this is where I started to realize how my answers were tying into each other, and going back to the first question, I would say it's about self-worth.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and is there any particular, would you like to share? I mean, is there any particular area there that you'd like to release? Is there a certain belief, you know, do you know what that belief is, or you're not quite sure?
It's something that I've been working on for a while, and I've really seen how it bleeds, or has bled, into every part of my life. So whether that's about worthy of receiving abundance, worthy in relationships, in friendships, yeah, that there's definitely been, I think the two main things have been about money and relationships, and about compromising myself, and just, yeah, just having that belief that I'm worthy of receiving, and also, yeah, just to be in relationships where I'm respected,
Yeah.
and equal, and yeah, all of that good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I hear
And
you.
yeah,
I hear
yeah,
you.
and not having to, yeah, to over compromise, or to justify who I am to be worthy of being in that relationship.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and I 100% know actually, that many people that are going to be watching this can relate to that, completely relate to that. And I know I can. I feel it's something that we're all constantly working on. But the more, as our life up levels, we have to up level that part of ourselves as well, don't we? You know, we need to grow so we can then grow into bigger things. Do you, just as a question, do you feel some of that links into past life stuff as well? Do you feel like you've brought some of that with you?
Yeah, because a big one that I've had to work on, that I feel is now come to peace, is about betrayal, and I managed to find the root of that, which was in a way back, and I was able to explore all the patterns and the triggers of it, and how I was carrying that. So I would say that the self-worth probably ties into that as well, but I think I've got more to, yeah, to discover with
Yeah.
that at the moment. And yeah, I think it's something for everybody at some level about self-worth, because we're conditioned to not feel good enough, or to not feel worthy enough, and that we should give all the time, and that not necessarily receive equally. But actually we should be receiving first, and we should be receiving and giving equally, and not having to give to enjoy the positive in a relationship, or with money or something. It's yeah, there should be an equal give and take.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh, thank you. And it's interesting, because the aspect of release, the meditation that I've done that goes with that, is all about worthiness.
Okay.
And also in that aspect, we explore like the three core wounds of betrayal, abandonment, and shame as well. So it's so interesting how it's that people's answers, because with the Emma that done it before you as well, the question time, her answers still linked in with kind of the coursework and what I'm writing about. So that's, well, it's all a bit spooky, but it's good. It's good. It gives me confirmation.
Yeah,
It's all a
yeah,
bit weird.
you're on the right track.
I'm on the right track. Yeah. Um, so number 4, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that a lot of people are going to relate to a lot of what, and we could just spend the next 2 hours discussing that easily, couldn't we?
I know, I'm aware that to try and be concise. And
I'm doing my best as well. It's not easy.
no, no.
I know we're similar in that way. You think, right, do a quick half an hour live, and 2 hours later, you're
Yeah,
still there, aren't you? I'm exactly the same.
yeah.
Okay, so this is the 5 elements, and also this links into the 4 functions as well, which is the Jungian 4 functions. But the question that I was asking you is, do you work with the elements? And if yes, could you describe one element and how you work with it?
Yes, is the answer. And my first thought was the earth, because of this this kind of grounding thing that I've had to accept, you know, that it was like I have really had to accept that I'm in this body, and I need to make the most of this body, and this was quite a big process over a number of years for me to accept that. And so I was thinking, oh yeah, it's an obvious one that I really connect into the earth each day, and I really ground my energies. And then I thought, but actually now that has kind of moved on or evolved into the element of ether, so the breath. And obviously our breath is we don't have this body without the breath, you know, it's like it holds our spirit, and it's our connection between life and death. So it changed from earth to ether, and I thought, yeah, actually for me at this time, that's what I'm really working with, and that's what I'm really connecting with.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I guess it works both ways as well, doesn't it? Because without the breath, we haven't got the body, and without the body, we haven't got the breath. It's kind of it's that they work together, don't they? But I think the earth element is really powerful, but also air for me. I'm a Gemini, and I know you're Capricorn. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You're the earth, and for me, as much as I love the air element, and I'm in my element literally with that, earth is what I mostly need. I need to feel that earth under my feet to try and do my best to stay here. I think I need lead boots most of the time, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So number 6, are we on? No, we're on number 5 now. I'm doing my best to keep up here. So number 5, this links into balancing our masculine and our feminine. So the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So number 5 is name a positive and negative element of your masculine and feminine qualities.
Okay, it was really a lot of thinking that I had to do about this, especially with the shadow masculine. I think I could have written reams about that, and they kind of combine together as well. So I'll start off with the positive masculine and feminine, because I had a thought of how they combine really well within me. So I'm very expanded in my thinking, and I'm very spontaneous, and at the same time I'm also very dynamic and strategic and grounded. And so if somebody is stuck with something where they need a kind of out of the box idea, but they also need a way that they can bring it into the physical and make it happen, then I'm really, really good at doing that, and making the impossible possible. That's what I would say that I've done with my life, with the things that I've done. And so I feel that I have a good combination in that way. I've got the ideas, and I've got the cosmicness, if you like, and I can also bring them in and make them happen, and make them happen in a really positive and dynamic, strong way.
Wow, I love that. I love that, the making the impossible possible. We all need some of that in our lives, don't we? We all need someone who can just help us just go, look, think outside the box on this one. How about you try this, or have you tried that? And because we can get stuck, aren't we? Especially, as you say, when you've got those shadow aspects coming out to play. So I'll leave it there. We carry on.
So then with the shadow, it also ties into that, because when I get those ideas, and it can be just in seconds. It's like I see the whole plan, I see every step of it, I see the outcome of it, how to do it. It's like I know, and I'm like an arrow. But if you're the person who that's directed to, it can be quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
And although it's from my excitement, and because I can see so clearly how that can be possible, and yeah, every step of the way, for the person on the receiving end, it can come across as quite strong and quite full on, and maybe controlling, although yeah, that obviously isn't my intention. But I think it's, yeah, I just get overexcited.
But you know, I think sometimes people need that though. Sometimes we need someone that's, because if you see that vision, and I get exactly the same, you know, where you see it, it's like a little movie just gone ding, 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 and you see it, and you want to help somebody or even ourselves to, and that's when that masculine energy comes in, isn't it, as well, because it's that pushing forward, it's the come on, it's the flame, isn't it? It's like, come on, you can do this.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we need that, if it can be done in a gentle way rather than the aggressive masculine, if it can be done where we're holding that within our feminine and we're being rooted and firm, but also guiding people in that way, then I think that's magic. I think that's fantastic that you've got that.
Yeah, and I think that's a big lesson that I've had to learn in that, is when to give that information or those sparks, and then know when to step back and not be the hero of the situation, and or the rescuer. And this is definitely something that I've really had to learn to do, that okay, take it, and now it's your choice, and I'm not going to try to dominate that choice.
Yes.
So
yeah. It's if people are ready to receive that as well,
yeah.
isn't it? That's the thing. Even though you can see a vision for them, that might not be for another 10 years, or it may be in another lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's accepting that as well, isn't it? That you can show the way, and it's down to whoever to step into that. And I don't know about yourself, but I find that I've got little things, not even really that conscious of doing it, but there's little things that I give people. And if they do those, I can see when people are on that track, or they're gaining that momentum and using that energy. You can see when people are ready by their actions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you find sometimes it's a little frustrating having to deal with that energy coming up?
Yeah, it depends on the situation. If when I'm teaching, say, and especially if I'm teaching a training, and people are so, like, they're so in the process, and they are kind of trying is not really the right word, but it's like they're in it so much, and they really want to get through whatever's coming up for them, and get out through the other side. And sometimes I can see that, you know, just like this, and you'll be there. But again, I've really had to learn to step out of that, and allow them to have their own process, and for me not to have an agenda with that, or not to be not to be pushing too quickly or too strongly, because it's them, it's not about me. And so, but then there's other things, like, I guess you could say, as an example, what's happening in the world right now and what my perception of it is, then I feel a huge amount of frustration.
I've been feeling that kind of rising, and I think there is a lot of that energy out there. We're highly sensitive people, aren't we? You know, and there's a lot of energy that's building anyhow, without our own, you know. And what I keep receiving is the goddess is rising, and she's rising.
Yeah, that's for sure. And maybe just to finish off this one, on the shadow feminine side, again, this is something I've really had to work on a lot, and I would say I'm kind of getting into the balance of it now, and it's been about boundaries, and that ties in again with relationships, friendships, situations, with teaching. I mean, it's with everything, and because I'm so expansive, and I can really hold that expansion. But then I have to know when people are taking the piss.
Yes.
and put those boundaries in place, because in the past I haven't, at the time or at the moment that I should have done, when I knew intuitively that that was what I needed to do, and I didn't, and it came back to bite me. So obviously you can only do that 100 million times and then have to learn your lesson with it.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that you share that as well, because the 5 elements links in with us in the book and in the course as well. It's looking at the different aspects of your boundaries as well, and where we give, where we receive. But interestingly enough, the element of metal, which is air as well, I've been shown that as it's air because it's the lungs in the Chinese medicine, isn't it? Metal, but that's all about our boundaries as well. So it's interesting how, you know, that's what you're bringing into your life at the moment, which is the element of the ether, of the air, of spirit. But that's also very much metal, which is boundaries, which is also, it's a holding energy as well, like the chalice, it's a holding, but it's also like the sword, you know, and also links in with tarot, with the Queen of Swords as well, where sometimes we have to sit on our throne with that knife and just, you know, chop away or hold our boundaries where they need to be held. And I think as anyone that's an empath, that's something that's a continual journey of stepping into your power and really having those.
Yeah, for
using
sure.
getting your sword out a bit.
Yeah, I have to get into these Joan of Arc moments with the sword.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so thank you. That was very insightful. I love that. And I know the next question is going to be really interesting. So this is this is number 6, which links into the aspect of the moon. And the question I have for you is, can you share a story about the moon? And this can be anything at all.
Okay, well, after I messaged you about this question, I then thought of something else that I decided to go with. Maybe because I thought it was probably cuter.
Oh.
So when my kids, now my son's 20 and my daughter's 17. So when they were little and we were living in India, and I became much more aware of my cycle and how I was connected with the moon cycles. And I think because we were just much more in nature and outside all of the time and on the beach, and yeah, it became much more apparent to me. So at that time, I was always with the full moon, and the kids, because obviously they were wearing nappies when they were little, and they would see me with sanitary towels, and they started to ask me, you know, why do we have to wear a nappy all the time, but you only wear them sometimes? And so I explained, and I had a moon cup, and so they knew from the beginning. They were always very aware of my menstrual cycle. So when they got a little bit bigger, I guess 3 or something, 3 or 4, they could see the moon in the sky. And so when it was coming to the full moon, they would remind me, but also anyone that was with us, any friends or anything, they would announce to everybody that, oh, it's full moon, mum's going to get her period. And and one would run off and bring the moon cup, and then the other would say, where's the nappies? And so so it was really cute for me that they used to do that, and yeah, they were just aware of it each month.
And how beautiful, just the whole story there is just beautiful. You know, the fact that they've been able to connect in to that energy with you as well. But children, yeah, they can put us on the spot sometimes with their truth. They speak the truth.
That's it. So yeah, everybody knew, really. I think everyone would have the announcement each month.
Oh, bless. Well, at least you knew even if you'd kind of not maybe been completely aware it was the days were coming, like they're reminding you. So
that's it.
That beats any app, doesn't it, that some people may have?
Yeah.
Oh, bless them. Okay, so this one's exciting. So number 7 is the aspect of the inner warrior. So share with us a time in your life when you have acted in the moment without thinking and totally from your instinct.
Well, for me, this is a bit the opposite. The question would probably be, when have you not? Because for me, I've always lived my life acting from my instinct and from being spontaneous and from my intuition. If there's a moment or a choice that I need to make and I have to stop and think about it, that's when I know that it's not something that I should be doing. So really my life is one long chain of events of spontaneity and jumping.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, and I'm very, it's just like boom, and that's it. There isn't any thought about it. It's just that's what I'm doing, and yeah, and that's it.
Wow, that's brilliant. Yeah, with that aspect as well, some of the things that were kind of coming to mind was where, for instance, it could be something that's happened. You know, you hear the stories of a woman, for instance, who lifts a car in the moment. You know, she's that moment where we're in that fight or flight, and it's just we're acting from that absolute instinctual, you know, just where we're in that moment. So do you feel, is there anything that I know obviously you live your life very instinctively and that's amazing, but is there anything that comes to mind where, have you ever had any moments like that where you've kind of looked after it and thought, wow, you know, where did that energy come from? How did that happen? How did I get out of that? Or, you know, it's in that flash of the moment.
There's probably a few, but the one that's coming to mind is about 9 years ago, my drink was spiked. This was again in India, and it was pretty rough, a few hours, and I've still got about 3 hours that I just have no memory of at all, and I don't know how I got home or into the house or anything. But in the period before that, I wasn't really able to walk or anything, but I was fighting with this man, fighting on the back of a motorbike, fighting in the mud, and yeah, it was really a life or death or rape, or, you know, it was that kind of situation. Thankfully, I didn't die, and I'm pretty 99.9% sure that I wasn't raped. But in that moment before what I think of as like the blackout point, that was a really, like, I had this voice, because I was on the floor, and I had this voice saying, you have to get up, like, just get off the floor, you have to get up. And so that's the last thing that I remember.
Wow.
So,
well, that sounds like a pretty heavy situation that you was in there. And I'm, as you was sharing there, because I've had a situation where my drink was spiked as well, and I ended up getting out of that situation. Luckily, the man who'd spiked my drink, and I went back to his flat as well, because I kind of knew him at the time, and he lived across the road to the pub. I'd gone to the pub because I needed to get away and clear my head and and I used to only have coffee in there, believe it or not. But I went to the pub, and there was a guy in there who, the partner I was with at the time, we'd both played pool with him, and so it kind of was that bit of familiarity. And he said to, because I didn't want to go back home at the time, and he said to me, you know, if you want to come over to mine and have a coffee, you know, just chill out for a bit. But he'd spiked my drink, yeah. And the only reason I was saved at that time was his flatmate come home. And when his flatmate come home, he must have realised that I really wasn't with it. And he said to me, I think you need to be getting yourself home. And I said, well, you know, I don't really remember truly what I said at that time, but he called me a cab. I got home, and my ex-partner said that I was just gone for about 5 or 6 hours. He couldn't rouse me, he couldn't do, and just as you were sharing that, I was just thinking to myself, I wonder how many, because I know many women this has happened to in different ways. I also know of a man that it's happened to as well, actually. I wonder how many people can relate to this, but how often do we share those stories? I think it's great to have that awareness, but wow, thank you for sharing that with me. And and it's a good reminder to me as well, and I think we need to share more of this. And if anybody that's watching this wants to share in the comments, as well, and wants to talk to either of us, please do, because I know this is something that is happening a lot. I know now, I guess one of the positives about this time is people have to keep their distance, don't they? So I've had to keep that 2 meter or 2 meters apart from someone. You've probably got less chance of having your drink spiked, but it could still happen.
Yeah, and also I've been thinking about this a lot in relation to the kind of mask saga debate, is that I've seen various lists about being exempt, but it doesn't really speak about this kind of thing. And in that situation, that's what happened to me. And the last thing that I want is something restricting my breath or restricting my throat or anywhere here. And so I think that this is something that's really been overlooked. There's obviously the anxiety and the PTSD of it, and I think for a lot of women, like I know some of my students have been suffocated and they've been choked and attacked, and this is going to be really triggering for them.
Yeah, and that's my exact same reason that I've said I will not wear one. Because I have PTSD from having hands on my face, being strangled, things over my face, and even just thinking about it. So I think as well, which a lot of us can relate to, I'm sure, past life stuff as well. Although I don't think that would be a good enough reason probably to tell your GP. But
Well, this is also something that I've been really thinking about, is the witch trials are the obvious one of being hung, and it's not only about if you think of it as a past life, it's also in the epigenetics of our ancestors, like the women that were killed in that way or they were tortured in that way, and within our genetic line we're holding that, and also in the collective we're holding that, and this being shut down and literally being choked for our words or for our magic or for our healing knowledge, and I think for a lot of people they're carrying this epigenetically, and so I've been really pondering these last weeks about that.
Yes, and they've actually, unfortunately, it's been through animal experiments, but they've proven now, haven't they, that generationally on our DNA, that trauma can actually go up to 7 generations. So even if people, like you say, don't believe in past lives as such, it's still trauma that your grandmother's gone through is going to affect you. And that's why sometimes we don't even know where these things have come from consciously, but it can still be there. But then we have the lessons that we've had this lifetime that we've brought in to do our best to heal as well. But yes, I think we could probably sit here for a good while discussing. I actually see there was an image of a mask, I don't know if you've seen it, and it had 2 hands, so it was like a meme that somebody had done, and it had 2 hands like this. So I'm thinking along the same lines, and I'm sure many people are, because I thought, right, if it means that I literally have to wear one, then I would get one that's clear.
Okay.
So you can still, because you can get ones that have got a clear, so you can still see the mouth. Okay, but anyhow, that could be quite a heated debate there. I think not for us, but on the thread there, comments. Hey ho. So number 7, no, number 8, which is faith of the unknown on the unseen. So number 8, the question to you, Katie, is do you believe in chi, God, source, or a higher power?
Yes. And this also tied into my shadow masculine as well, and a internal battle, I guess, that I've had to work with, is about my relationship with what I consider to be authority figures. So God or source would come into that, and at the same time feeling my body as energy and knowing that I am energy, that all of us, everything is energy. So my thinking is, well, if there isn't that source, why else would we be here? Why would we be experiencing these lifetimes with these bodies? Because really we're all expressions of that source. So what's interesting to me is how we can be sovereign in that, because we've each got our own personal path that we're following, and at the same time, how can we be in unity as a collective? So we're still keeping our uniqueness and the experiences and the lessons that we need to have, and how can we merge that and weave that into a collective peace and understanding and equality as well.
Yes, wow. And I think that's to be continued, isn't it? Because wow, I mean, yeah, I do feel though, I don't know if you've felt this, there is a sense of togetherness for sure, but there's also seems to be an increasing divide as well. Yeah, but keeping that our own unique essence, but sharing the greatness of we're all here, you know, we're all flesh and bone, and like you say, energy. And actually on a quantum level we're not really here anyway. We're just particles of dust floating around the place.
And also how everything is like the macro and the micro, and as within so without, as above so below. So the division that we're seeing or that we're feeling around us is reflecting it's a reflection of the division within ourselves. And the more whole we can be as us, as Katie or as Stella, the more whole we can be with everybody, because actually we are everybody and everybody is us. And it's like we're all a spark of that God and Goddess creation.
Spark of divinity.
Yeah.
We're all stars and stardust. Sure. But it is, and I feel it's because Kuan Yin, you know, it's as you know, I work with Kuan Yin's energy a lot, and she just keeps saying to me about compassion, because it can be so easy to just get angry with people, or just think, well, you know, you're small-minded, or you're not seeing this, or you're missing this, you're missing that. But as you say, that's only a reflection of ourselves. So I think now we're all being given an opportunity to step into our utmost compassion and love, and to open our heart to each and every one of us, because as much as you're pointing the finger, as they say, there's like 3 pointing back at you for every time you're doing that. And I always remember that. I'm like, yeah, okay. But I think this is definitely putting us all through the paces with that one.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all going to grow massively. So number 9. Oh, so number 9 links into the aspect of the womb. And what relationship do you have with your womb or your womb space, Katie?
I would say a very good one. I'm very connected with my body as a whole. Obviously, dancing, belly dance, Middle Eastern dances, there's a lot of emphasis on the movements of the belly, the hips, which is also going to be working, moving energy through the womb space. And I think, like with anything, my relationship with her has deepened over time. But yeah, I'm very in tune with every aspect of my cycle, whether it's through my moods, my body temperature. I know when I'm ovulating. Yeah, it's like I know day by day, and I don't need to measure it in any way or anything. I just know it in myself, and in the way that my body's communicating with me and with my energy levels. Yeah, and I'd say probably 5 nights out of 7 I do a womb massage on myself, and that's really nice just before I go to sleep, and yeah, just to deepen the connection and yeah, just tune in with myself, really.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, that's amazing that you've got such a positive relationship with your womb. And interestingly enough, I popped into my local health shop today, and I was the lady that works in there, I think she's 86 or 87. We've become the most amazing friends. Like, even when we first met years ago, it was like known each other forever. And I said to her about what I'm doing tonight, and I said, you know what, I would love to interview you. I said to her, and she was like, oh, okay. I said, there's a couple of questions that, you know, that I'm not sure how you'll feel about. And then she was like, oh, well, what would they be? And so I shared them with her, and yeah, and she just gave me this amazing story about her womb, and I stood there, I was like, wow, and it just flowed out. But nobody's ever, first of all, she was like, what do you mean? Because no one's ever asked her in her 86 years of her life, or whatever, she's around that age, you know, what is your relationship with your womb? I had to kind of rephrase it, and then she completely got it. And when I said about the next question, she was like, oh, I heard about that on Loose Women. Yeah, they were talking about that on Loose Women. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. It's don't have a TV. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing an interview. I said to her, I'd take it in the shop and do it for her in there. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So number 10. Now this question, it links in with the aspect of the pussy. So and I'm just going for it and using that word, and hopefully it'll all be good, but we're recording it anyway. So yes, number 10, if your pussy was an animal, what animal would your pussy be?
Well, for this one, I was really laughing. And it's probably a no words question. I've got a show and tell of some pieces of underwear, which I think is going to give you the answer.
Oh, I love this.
So here's one.
Oh, I love them. Oh, wow.
I mean, there's endless.
Oh, I like these. Oh,
So
I'm going to do a little growl then.
And then these are the best ones. They're from Bulgaria, and they're called baba pants. They're like what the older ladies wear, but I wear them when I've got my period because they're really, I can pull them up underneath to my ribs.
Wow. What are they called? Baba, did you say?
Baba pants.
Baba pants. I love that. Apple picker knickers we used to. Apple pickers.
So,
oh, I love it.
Yeah. So the Katie pussy.
Katie Kitty. Oh, I love it. I've got a little bit of animal print on my dress tonight as well. Look, I must have tuned into that. Oh, thank you for sharing Kitty with us. When you said show and tell, I had a little bit of a moment there. Because that is interesting. You must have intuitively just picked up on that, because this question links in because many moons ago I was at a festival, and there was a lady there who I'm now friends with her on Facebook actually, and she was wandering around with a pair of knickers on her head, and I couldn't help but ask, you know, we ended up being in a workshop together. It was at Gaunt's house actually, at one of the summer festivals. And I said to her, you know, why are you wandering around with your knickers on your head? And she said, oh, so people ask me why I'm wandering around with my knickers on my head, so it provokes a conversation. And then she was talking to me about the yoni and the womb and the power of the pussy and everything. And I was like, wow, you know, this is really interesting. She's very unique with some of her views, but I loved listening to her. Anyhow, the workshop finished, and it was just me and her that was in one of the rooms at the house, in Gaunt's house. I don't know if you've been there, but yeah.
I taught there a couple of times at that festival, so we
Yeah,
might have been at the same one.
I was teaching Tai Chi at the time as well. So I think this is about 7 years ago. So we might have been at the same one. That would be interesting to have a look at. So it was in the big green room, which is there, which is beautiful. So I'm just sitting on the floor in the green room, and there was just me and her in there with these knickers on her head, and we're just having this conversation. And she said, oh, would you like to pull a card? She got her goddess cards out, and I was going through quite a difficult phase at the time, kind of separating from someone and going through all that stuff. So I've picked a card, and she's given me this little reading with this card. And then she stood up, and I thought the reading was really good, but she stood up and she lifted up her skirt and just literally put her pussy like that far away from my face. And obviously she's got no underwear on because it's on her head. Yeah. So, and I've just kind of a bit shocked, a bit taken back. And anyhow, then we've just carried on having a conversation, and she was like, you know, it's really powerful to show your pussy to people and da 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 da. Anyhow, she's left, and no kidding you, I just burst into tears, and I ended up crying for the whole night. I couldn't go to see the music in the evening. I ended up going back to my tent and just sobbing, and I had this huge release, and I was like, wow, that's when I really discovered the power of our pussy. You know, and I, although that's not something, please, I'm not recommending that you all go, you know, offering this as a therapy or a treatment or anything for people, but it was amazing. And that's how this aspect has come about.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you're showing me underwear and talking about show and tell. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Totally in tune there.
Pleasure.
So we're on number 11, which is community. So the word community, what does it mean to you?
Well, I guess I already said a little bit about the being sovereign to yourself, and then the unity as a whole, as a community, and I feel that when people are really deeply connected into themselves and understanding themselves and have a dialogue with their body, and also equally working and accepting the shadow and the light within themselves, that's when true community can form. Because if you're not in commune with you, how can you be fully in community with others? Because that's when all these breaks and shadows and things and egos start to kick off. So I really feel it's about bringing it back to ourselves first, and deeply connecting with us, and from that connection we can connect with the whole, and with these, whether smaller communities that we live in, or the world as a community, or the cosmos as a community. But it always has to come back to ourself as the community of ourself. So for me, it's being sovereign, and it's being in union simultaneously.
I love that. Thank you. I really love that, and it's so powerful and so true. And it's coming back to the commune, the essence of that word as well, isn't it? Yeah. Wow. Because we can only love others as much as we can love ourselves as well. And it's the same with connecting. You can be in a community full of people, but you can still feel very alone.
Yeah, and also really feeling safe in our body, and feeling safe to take our place. You know, we've each got our unique place on this planet, and there's space for everybody to do that without compromising ourselves and without compromising other people. We've each got our own sovereign space, and that we can give and receive from, and in that way come together, and in a harmonic way.
Yeah, like as you were saying that, what do you call it when you get you get a flock of birds and they all just move together in the sky, don't they? It's just and there's no one leading. What is it called, sorry?
I don't know about from birds, but the word that I got was synergy. There's there's a flow together, and within that flow each person has their task or their mission, but those missions are all working as one. They're working together rather than against each other.
Yeah, and that's the power of community as well, isn't it? If you're all coming from the same page, magic can happen. Especially when women, I mean, obviously I'm sure it happens when men all gather together, but I've been a part of holding space for all men, but I can't speak for being with a group of only men. But when you've got a group of only women, I know magic happens. A lot of magic.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you for that. I love that. So number 12. So number 12 links into the aspect of the wild woman, like one of my favourites. So what is the wildest experience you've ever had, Katie?
This was really hard. My mind was blank, completely blank. My son was here, and I said to him, okay, what can I say for this? And he started to laugh, and he said, how can anyone ask you this question? Because it's like your life has just been this wild craziness. A lot because of these spontaneous decisions that I make. It's been from one wildness to another. So it was really hard for me to pinpoint, and and obviously there's lots of different aspects of it as well. So I could say experiences that I had performing, and these secret Bollywood parties in ice palaces in the Himalayas, and then the driver nearly backing off the cliff because he couldn't see because of the snow when we're on the way home and on the edge of a mountaintop. Or the time I had surgery and it was across my sacral, and it was supposed to be with local anaesthetic, and this was when I discovered that local anaesthetic doesn't work on me. And there was a moment where I thought it had worked because they'd given me 5 times the dose or something, and the surgeon cut across my belly, and which I very definitely felt, and obviously it just went and all the blood was coming, and because I screamed, and he said, I thought you couldn't feel it, and I said, no, actually I can. And he said, well, we can either just sew you back up again and leave it here, or we can continue, but you're obviously not going to have anaesthetic. So I didn't have anaesthetic and had surgery and was stitched up, and that was quite wild, I would say. And,
just a little.
Yeah, and there were 5 nurses that just had to pin me down. And so that, I mean, that's kind of one extreme. To another extreme, I got hit by lightning, me and my daughter, 5-6 years ago, and obviously survived to tell the tale. That was a big activation that I experienced from that. I'm just looking at I made lots of notes for this. And then, another one was going over land. This was when we were living in India, and the kids were maybe 4 and 7 at this point. And we went over land. It took 5 days from Goa to Kathmandu. And this was like a epic adventure which ranged from my daughter, she was 4, she fell onto the train track in between the platform and the train, because she ran ahead of us because she was so excited, and got in the middle of all these men fighting to get on the train. And yeah, there was sort of many adventures that you can only have in India. I mean, I lived in India for 9 years, so that was like, the wildness was just constant being there. And I think that was the thing, is that what was wild at first became normal life. Because it was just happening all the time. And then from that journey, as we reached the border of Nepal, and then going through no man's land, and with these little kids, and that was quite intense. And then reaching Kathmandu, and then it was there that a couple of weeks later, because we were there for a month, that was when I had the first Kundalini explosion. And so that whole month for me was a wild ride of all kinds of things, with border police to visas to Thai falling on the track, and hospitals, and then Kundalini, and and I was knocked unconscious when I just short-circuited out. My brain just cut out when that happened. So it was quite hard for me to pinpoint, because there's been loads and loads of different things. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a
I think it gives us an idea, yes, for sure. And thank you for sharing, because that just kind of took me on a journey. I'm a very visual person as well, and it just took me on this amazing journey. And I can't imagine, because I haven't had wild experiences like that. I've had wild times, but in different ways. But I've always wanted to visit India, but I think there's a huge resistance there for me, because I've heard of people say how busy it is and crowded. I'm sure it's not all like that, but to me that is just, it's bad enough for me in a busy shop, so I can only imagine how wild it would be.
It's the kind of thing where, say here, you think, right, I'm going to go and buy some vegan chocolate from Tesco's around the corner, and you go to Tesco, you buy that chocolate, and you go home again. In India, you do that, and you might not go home for 2 days, because you meet somebody on the way, and they say, oh, I'll take you to, I don't know, there's this music happening, or there's an elephant festival at the temple. And you get on the bike, and then you go, and then that leads to something else. You end up out in the jungle. Then you meet, I don't know, some billionaire from somewhere who says, will you come and dance at my son's wedding? And it just goes like that.
Wow, actually, you're starting to sell it to me a little bit now. I'm thinking that is kind of, that's me. If I go off, I'll go off, so just pop into the shop, and I could be gone 4 hours. And I think people just got used to that's just me. I end up somewhere completely different. But that's taken it to a whole new level, isn't it? Coming home 2 days later.
For me, India, of the places I've been to so far, India feels most like home. Like, I feel most comfortable there. I get frustrated with the chaos of things as well sometimes, but mostly I really thrive off of that. I find it really inspiring, and and I love that wild spontaneity. It really suits my personality.
Wow. So are you planning on going back there again?
Yeah, always. I still run retreats there every year, and I usually spend about 2 months, usually January, February. I go, and like this year I went and had a Ayurvedic treatment, and it's just like a time to really nurture me, and also to explore parts of India that I might have been to, because I was performing everywhere for shows, and I didn't always get to to explore the places that I went to, because we would go in, do the show, and then I'd go back again. And so now when I go, I can really take the time to maybe revisit places, or, you know, it's a big country, there's a lot I haven't been to as well. So I love spending time there.
Wow. So would you be able to give us what's your top tip for like traveling to India? Where's, say for instance, I said, right, that's it, I'm going to go. Where would you recommend, like, my first port of call would be?
Oh, well, if you like beaches, I would say Kerala.
Okay.
Rajasthan is really amazing as well. I mean, it depends what you want. If you want mountains,
I love the
Dharamsala,
mountains.
yeah, Bagsu, Dharamsala, Manali. If you want the beaches, then Kerala. If you want desert and camels and shopping, Rajasthan.
Mine would be mountains for sure.
Yeah.
Mountains, streams, trees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's me out of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was because that's where the Dalai Lama is based, in Dharamsala. And
Right.
so when that week when I got hit by lightning, that was up there. And then 2 days later, me and my daughter met the Dalai Lama. And it was the second time that we'd met him in something like 8 months. We were like, you're following us.
Wow.
And both times were very spontaneous again, and not exactly planned, especially the first one. It was in an airport, and we were the only people in there, and he'd come into land. So
Wow.
yeah.
I bet your children could share some wild stories with us as well then. some of the adventures they've had with you being their mum. How lucky.
Yeah, and when I was talking to my son saying, come on, tell me some of the wild things that we did, and we were going through some, and then we are saying, okay, we can't say that, we can't say that.
You can tell me some more after if you like.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Love that. So we're on to the last question, and I've had the most amazing time. So number 13 links in with the aspect of Tantra. So can you describe Tantra from your own personal perspective or experience, please?
So again, for me, this linked back to the community and to what it means to me to be embodied. Because I feel that Tantra is very connected to this communication and knowing yourself. And I always come back to the phrase of "to know thyself be true," because the Tantra to me is really about knowing yourself, um, and really seeing the magic of you and the magic that surrounds you. So looking at everything like you're a child, and they look around and everything is so exciting and everything's magic, and we forget about that and what it's like to eat ice cream for the first time, or to play in the mud, or to play in the snow, and how that kind of feeling and that freshness gets lost as we get older. So for me, Tantra is really about coming back to those sensations. So whether that's the sensation of connecting with my body, or of how I perceive the world around me, it's really being the magic in me and emanating that magic, and then seeing the magic that is surrounding me, and the magic in others.
Mm. Yeah, beautiful. It's all about connection, isn't it? It's Tantra, I believe. Actually, the word actually means like weave to weave, and
Yeah.
And that's about weave is literally everything, isn't it? It's a part of everything. But I love that about, you know, looking at the world through child's eyes, and I think children are the most amazing teachers, and they are so embodied. You know, a lot of the time, obviously, sometimes unfortunately, if children have had trauma, then that can be taken away from them to a degree. if you watch children play, they're just so embodied. Like my grandsons are 9 and 3, and the 9-year-old, you'd be talking to him and he's just sitting on the sofa 1 minute, and then the next minute you look around and his legs are up on the wall and his head's hanging off, and he's still having the same conversation with you. You know, they're just so in the moment, and if their body wants to move, they'll move it. You know, and he loves going on the trampoline as well. The 9-year-old, they both do, but I've noticed the 9-year-old, if he sits for a while, he'll go and then have like half an hour on the trampoline. It's like they know that is not good for our body, just to sit still for too long, and just intuitively go and get back in touch with their body again by playing or the trampoline. And yeah, I think we can all learn a lot from children.
Yeah, and obviously Tantra in the people often think of it because of the way it's been marketed, if you like, or the way it has been in society. It's like people only relate it to sex and how to have 10 hours of sex and all of this kind of thing. But that again comes back to that union within yourself, the knowing yourself, this communication and this weaving of the masculine and feminine. If you're doing that as you and your partner is doing that as them, automatically when you are together, magic happens. That's the pure Tantra.
Yes, I have experienced that a few times, thankfully. And and don't get me wrong, I mean, being able to experience making love for 10, 11 days, 11 hours, or even sometimes days, that's amazing. But that's not what Tantra is about. And that's why this question is in there, to hopefully educate people if that's their only viewpoint of Tantra. And it's actually a lot more than that. And I think listening to ourselves and our environment and everything, becoming part of our environment as well. You know, you're so in that moment that you become part of it. You're in the forest and you become part of the tree, like you are the tree. That's what Tantra is all about, isn't it? It's not just 11 hours worth of sex, although that is fantastic as well. You know, wishful thinking at the moment, single in lockdown, but you know, although it could be done with ourselves as well, but but in communion with another, again, you've got alchemy, haven't you? You know, so we've also got the alchemy within us as well. Somebody posted, sorry, I'm on one now. Somebody posted the other day about she's looking for her divine masculine, you know, and how she wants to, and I just put on there, you know, you are the divine masculine. And I think sometimes we're looking outside of ourselves for something that's actually we already have. We are it.
And until we've accepted that and discovered that in ourselves, it's not going to appear on the outside, because there's going to be that mirroring again of within and without. So how can we find it out there if we haven't found it in here?
I love that. And it's so true. And again, I remember you sharing about your name and about your name meaning the as above as below. And would you like to share? Would you want to share anything about that at all? Because I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think this goes back to the question about which element am I working with, because I have this very grounded part of me, and I have very strong Capricorn in my chart as well, and so then I have this very etheric part of me, like I said, that I've really had to work on being in my body and accepting this body, and just really owning it. So recently, a really lovely friend of mine, a fellow whirler, Sufi whirler, he does this esoteric numerology, and he did a chart for me about my name, and with the numbers and how it was interpreted and everything, it means like space and earth. It's like land, Holland, land. I mean, this is in a very simplified explanation, but this kind of phrase that has always been very strong for me, and is very much a part of Awakened Bellydance. It's this as above, so below. And then he said, well, actually, that it's in your name, because Katie with the Ka, it means spirit from the ancient Egyptian alchemy. And I thought, okay, yeah, that really makes sense, and why I've always been very strongly feeling that I didn't want to change my name or anything. And yeah, it's because I'm embodying that as above and below within me.
I love that. Yeah, because Ka is Egyptian for like chi, isn't it? Chi, breath, prana, all of those things. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been amazing. Would you like to share, because I know, obviously, I know a bit about you and what you do, because I've followed you for a while now and experienced the Awakened Bellydance, which is absolutely amazing, and just come into my life at just the right time when I needed it, at the start of this lockdown period, when I also had the time and space to be able to do things as well then. Yeah, would you like, is there anything you'd like to share with us? Anything at all that you could share, whatever just comes your way?
Okay. As in what I offer?
Yeah, in what you offer. If you wanted to share a little bit about Awakened Bellydance and what it is, or where people can find you, you know, what you're doing.
Yeah,
I'm sure everyone's keen.
So, well, the website for a more detailed explanation is awakenbellydance.com, and you can subscribe to my mailing list there, and you get a free PDF download, which is all about embodiment and grounding, and sort of ways that you can work with yourself to do that. I'm really itching to get moving, because usually my life is very much traveling and teaching and kind of hopping around from country to country. So I've found this stuckness very sticky. And so I'm looking to get moving again from sort of September, October. And I've got inner dance training in October, that's in England. And then an Awakened Bellydance training in Turkey in November. And also I'm running it's Awakened Bellydance and meditation starseed activations with Steve Nobel. And probably a lot of you would know his meditations from YouTube. So we're collaborating together in Luxor in Egypt. And that's going to be a really amazing retreat. Yeah, I can't wait. And then I'm offering one-to-one sessions online with Awakened Bellydance, and also distance Reiki. And so this is like for personal development, and if you want to explore the inner you more in depth. And also in April and May, we ran a free online Awakened Bellydance course, which is when you joined and we got in touch. So those videos are all still there and accessible. So if anybody wants to join that course and you can work through it for yourself, you're very welcome to. You can get in touch with me and or Stella, and she'll give you my details. And so we've got lots of free resources for people to work with. And and I'm just waiting to get physically moving, really. And the other thing is I'm working on, it's a pre-recorded Awakened Bellydance online course, and it's called Abundance, as in abundance, but with the emphasis on
Love it.
And so I've just finished the theory with that, and probably the next couple of weeks I'm going to film it. So that's going to be available probably from August, mid-August, then that will be coming. And it's all about how to bring abundance into your life, how to receive, and work with the energy of money.
Love it. I like the play on the words there as well, abundance. I love that. Wow.
That was
You
one
are
of
a
my
busy lady.
brushing teeth. my inspiration as well, brushing my teeth again.
Yeah. That's good. Brush your teeth more. Brush your teeth more. We need it. The world needs Katie to brush her teeth more.
I'm like an obsessive toothbrusher already.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you know, I've created an online course, and it took this lockdown, as it were, to kind of push me into a corner to actually get that done.
Yeah.
But it's a whole new world, but it's amazing because there's only so much of us when we're doing one-to-one. But when there's a course that people can easily access, wow, you know, and also there's no restrictions on, I think that's something on time or space, and I think that's something that the lockdown has taught us, for those of us that have mostly been teaching in the 3D or sharing in the 3D, is actually how connected we can all be via the ether, as it were.
Yeah. And you saying that, actually, it's reminded me of another free course that I'm teaching at the moment.
Oh yeah, the Thursdays.
Yeah, so we've done 1 week already, but the recording's there so you can catch up. And it will be the next 4 Thursday evenings, England time. And that's for the mental wealth organisation. So again, if people want to get in touch with me, I can give you the details about that. And yeah, it's really nice. There's over 100 people now on the course, so
wow.
yeah,
I'm hoping to attend this Thursday. I couldn't last week, but I didn't know there was a recording. I'll go and have a little look at that.
Everything's there.
Yeah, thank you. You can always put a link on Facebook on the comments. You can always go and put a couple of links on there as well.
Yeah, I will do. Thank you.
For anything, and yeah. So thank you. Have you got anything else that you would like to share?
I already feel like I was going and.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, maybe we should start a movement of animal print knickers as masks.
Yes.
And your friend with her pants on her head, and it's inspiring me about my pussy pants.
I'm going to get some animal print pants now, for sure. Yeah, because I've seen little jokes where people put the pair of knickers, like a thong, you know, as your face mask kind of thing. But yeah, maybe there could be I reckon there's a market for that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a bit of we won't go there. I think there's a market for everything, actually. Oh dear. Well, thank you so much, Katie, for joining me. I've loved every minute. I don't even know how long we've been at this. Oh, an hour and a half. We could probably be here for a day or two if we started to discuss any of this in any depth. But thank you, and much love to you.
And
if anybody has any questions for either of us, Katie will put a little link in the group, and we're going to be sharing this video here, there and everywhere anyway. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. I'll go and have a look, see if there's any comments, because I can't see them while we're doing this through Zoom. But I'm sure Katie would answer any questions as well, if you have any as well, anything that we've discussed tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, well, big love to you, and we'll catch up soon.
Okay.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.